What's something that's happened to you that sounds fake, but, unfortunately, isn't? I was hit in the head by a bowling ball on a trampoline. 911 hung up on my cousin because they thought it was a prank. My grandmother prevented the neighbor boy from kidnapping our next-door neighbor. Our house was the bus stop. I woke up sick that morning and didn't go to school. Grandma was the neighborhood grandma and kept an eye on the kids that were at the stop every morning. She was watching the girl at the corner. She was the only one riding that morning, looked back and she was gone. He was dragging her across our backyard with a knife to her throat. My grandma ran at him screaming and throwing rocks at him while I called the cops. She won Citizen of the Year in our city. There's a lamb that hates me and goes out of its way to kick only me when I visit my father's farm. Not mine, but a friend's story. When she was about 5 or so, she was at CVS with her dad when someone robbed the store. While the robber is pointing a gun and yelling at everyone to get on the ground, her dad, being an Asian man born in Asia, says Happy Halloween because he thought it was a costume. This happened in November. I got hit by lightning while driving my car down the interstate. Completely killed the computer system and totaled the car out. Years ago, I broke my right foot. After 6 weeks in a boot, I was leaving the orthopedist office boot-free. Just me and my own 2 feet, raw dogging the ground. I was so excited to drive home, now that I was out of that damn boot. And then on the way to the car, I stepped off the curb, rolled my left ankle, and broke it. I have a misdemeanor on my adult record for skiing out of bounds. I was thrown off a motorcycle on the interstate when I was 22 months old. Yes, months. My parents thought I was dead because my head was ripped open, skull too, but took me to the hospital anyway. ETA, this happened in the Midwest US on an interstate. I have randomly came across not 1 but 2 people attempting, or about to attempt suicide. Didn't know either of them, both at totally different locations. Both times I was just living my normal life and then suddenly I'm trying to stop a suicide. Ambulance came and got the one. The other one, after a very long talk down, ended up taking off upon realizing I had dialed 911 so the operator could hear what was going on. I broke my humerus while sitting stock still at my computer desk. Bone cancer had eaten through it and it chose that moment to just snap in half. 0/10 Do not recommend edit. Just to answer some questions, I did not realize I had cancer at the time. This was how I found out. I had my elbow resting on the armrest, so I imagine the pressure was what finally did it in. I am okay now, almost 10 years in remission. I was working and felt like I broke a rib. It went away, but I offhandedly mentioned it to my doctor. She was super concerned and ordered a bone scan. It was stage 4 cancer. I was cuffed and thrown in the back of a cop car after being accused of stealing cars, while walking through a bowling alley parking lot. I was 12. I got punched in the face by a kangaroo when I was 13. Slept with a boyfriend for over a year, unprotected, and found out he had HIV. Been tested for 20 years straight and I'm still negative. Edit, woke up to a huge reaction, never expected this. I'm going to answer some things here. Yes, he knew and didn't tell me. His plan was to act like I gave it to him. I thought there was no way I didn't have it, so for several years I was in the mindset that I had contracted it. When I was 18 I started getting tested twice a year and have been negative every test. I don't think I am Finnish or Nordic, I should check that out someday. There are so many horrible things that are in this thread, I'm surprised this was even seen. Thank you for concern everyone. Was in a relatively mild car accident. EMS recommended X-rays just to be safe. I argued a bit but ended up relenting. X-rays lead to a CT and a kidney cancer diagnosis. Doctor said I would have been dead inside a year if it hadn't been found. When I was about 6 years old, I was at Dairy Queen with my mom and brothers. Mom needed to change the baby's diaper, so she asked this guy sitting at a table near us on the patio to watch my 4-year-old bro and I. She had seen him around before and thought of him as a friendly neighbor. A few weeks later, he was on the news. It was Clifford Robert Olson. I imagine he must have been smirking and thinking, Jesus lady, you're lucky they're a bit young for my taste. Brother was murdered by his wife, who then killed herself a few months later. No answers. No investigation. Just chaos in our lives. I got hit by the McGrove the crime doghouse boat while sitting in my car at a red light. 2 weeks ago, I dropped a grill propane tank on my foot. Yesterday, I had my whole big toe amputated. I was briefly kidnapped in Malaysia. They didn't catch my son at birth. I rescued my father from the Sinaloa cartel outside Guadalajara in 2007. He was there on business launching a broadcast satellite and had a major heart attack. Was taken to a small clinic and held for ransom by the cartel. Machine guns, private jets, pockets full of cash, got him back and he lived another 10 years to see his grandsons born. I got third-degree burns from French fries as a baby woman facepalming light skin tone. They got dropped on my arm and my dumb baby brain panicked and pancaked them to my upper arm. Not me directly, but a family member was killed by a hired hit man via a car bomb. I wrecked my bike in the summer after 7th grade and had to be mercy flighted, broken bones, quite severe concussion. I forgot 90% of 7th grade and struggled in 8th, but a weird side effect was that I could music. Before I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, couldn't hear when notes were the same or different, completely tone deaf, and after the accident I could. I sang in my college choir for 4 years. I met Pearl Bailey on a dirt road in Oklahoma and she asked me for directions. Apparently had an old friend in the area. Survived 2 plane crashes, both were de Havilland's. I got stranded at 18,000 feet on a 20,000 plus mountain due to weather. Nobody except the person with me knew where I was and had no emergency beacon or communication device. No other people on the mountain. Had to wait it out until next morning to hike back down to safety. That's the short story. Do not recommend. Because an adult didn't believe me that something was wrong, I almost had my leg amputated at the age of 14.